Hello, and thank you for joining me in this bonus lesson. Being born isn't easy. Some babies need a little extra help when they come into the world, and that's totally fine. Fortunately, we're lucky enough to have hospitals that can take care of our little ones when they need a little bit more help. In this bonus lesson, you'll be learning how to photograph your baby in the NICU, whether they're there for just a couple days or for a few months. Just like a postpartum room, finding the best light is super important. Hopefully by now you're mindful of your light sources and have been trying to get the best light in all of your photos, whether they have cute babies in them or not. I have photographed in all different types of NICUs, and I know they can be quite different and the lighting isn't always created equally. That's why there isn't just one checklist for this kind of room. But as a general rule of thumb, if you have natural light, use it. There are some NICUs that have individual rooms for each baby. These tend to have large windows. If you happen to be in one of these beautiful rooms, finding great light should be nice and easy. Just open up the blinds like you would in a postpartum room during the day, and you should get some great light. But not all NICUs are like that. Some have large bays with lots of babies in there. If you happen to be in one of these and near a window, ask your nurse if it's okay to open up the blinds. You want to make sure that it's okay for the other babies in there as well. Chances are it will be, but in the event that one baby in there won't be okay with that natural light coming in the window, then we're going to have to go to the next way of finding great light. If your baby happens to be in a large NICU, it'll probably have the overhead lights on. You can use that, but there's usually one brighter light, the ones that the doctors use to take a closer look at baby, and that's a great light source to have. There's also some movable privacy barriers that are around, and so if you take that spotlight that the doctor uses, turn it towards one of those barriers, you can bounce that light and create some nice ambient light in the room. Or if you don't have a divider, or if the divider is colored, you can turn that light, face it up to the ceiling, and it'll still bounce off that light, creating a nice diffused light onto your baby. In large NICU bays with lots of other babies in it, I do not recommend using flash. Some babies just can't handle the harshness of the flash. It can be very distracting for other parents that are in the intensive care nursery as well. If you feel like you have to use a flash, ask your nurse and the other parents around if it's okay. Safety first. If you do not know what you can or cannot do for a photo, ask your nurse. The safety of your baby and the safety of other babies come before getting that perfect shot. Some of these things that you can ask your nurse are if you can use the flash. You can ask them about moving the bassinet or using a blanket from home, putting baby in an outfit. If you're not sure of any of these things, just ask your nurse. They'll be able to tell you what your baby's limitations are, answer your questions, and they might even be able to help you out with a few things. All right, you have the beautiful light figured out. Now it's time to get your baby in the space ready for those photos. Here, we're going to talk about how to hide some of that NICU equipment so that you don't see it in your photos. If your baby is in the NICU, they will at least have a heart rate monitor on. They may also have IVs or leads on. Don't feel like you have to hide it. This is part of your baby's story and it's totally okay. I also understand why you might want to hide them as well. Remember, safety first. If you don't know what you can or cannot do or move, ask your nurse. Having your baby in a onesie or swaddled up is going to cover up most of the leads or monitors that are on your baby. But there's still going to be cords that are connected to machines. I've hidden a bunch of cords while photographing babies in the ICN. And here are the ways that I have found to be the easiest and make the best photos. I like to use a large flowy blanket for these photos. This can be a knit blanket, a large swaddle, or even a white hospital sheet. Pick up your baby and lay the blanket underneath them completely open. You may need the help of your partner or nurse for this. Lay baby back down on the blanket. Next, you can fluff up the blanket a little bit, creating some folds and peaks and valleys. All those little folds are great places to tuck away the cords. Try to keep it as organic as possible. You don't want a harsh line making a fold, or else it'll look like you're covering up something. Next, you can loosely drape the blanket over your baby's body, just like we learned in lesson 3. Keep it nice and loose. Since we'll be hiding some cords, you don't want to do too much smoothing over the blanket, or else you won't have a place to hide them. Now your baby is ready for some great overhead photographs. If you'd like to do a full body photo, unwrap the blanket and make sure you double check to make sure that all the cords are tucked away. While moving your body and your camera around, you might start getting some of the room in the background of the photos. To avoid that, have your partner hold up the edge of the blanket, creating the backdrop. The key to making a seamless backdrop is not pulling too tightly when you hold it up, and holding it up at a 45-degree angle. Try avoid holding the backdrop blanket up too tight and at a 90-degree angle. And voila! Now you can take great photos of your baby in the NICU without their equipment stealing the show. We talked about how you can take some great photos in the intensive care nursery while hiding some of their wires, but make sure you take some photos where you aren't hiding everything. This is part of their story. Make sure you capture it. They're super tough. They're fighters. These little guys might need a little help right now, but that's how they got here. Just like in a postpartum room, back up and tell the story of the space. Even if you're a larger bay, you can back up a little bit because your baby will have their own tiny little dedicated space. This shows off where they were when they're getting stronger. Make sure you get their little bassinet and any machines that might be helping them out along the way. Some close-up detail shots can be very powerful in the NICU. Maybe your baby has a heart monitor on his foot. You can still hold your baby's foot in your hands with the heart monitor on because that's part of their story. Another storytelling detail shot that I love is a little close-up of baby's hands on their bare chest. Typically, they'll have some leads on their chest, and this is a great way to tell their story and get cute details of your baby's hands and their story in one photograph. In a lot of intensive care nurseries, I've noticed that each baby has a little board. It contains mom and dad's names, the nurses' names, and then some fun facts about what makes a baby happy or upset. If your baby has one of these, make sure you take a snapshot of it. I would also love to see the photos that you take of your new bundle of joy, so make sure you email those to me. I have literally seen tens of thousands of photos of newborns, and I'm not tired of it. So don't feel like you will be boring me with your baby photos. I love it. And congratulations on your new bundle of joy. That's it. I'll see you around.